In the world of boxing, very few names resonate with as much pride and legacy as that of Azumah Nelson, a fighter who rose from humble beginnings in Ghana to conquer the global stage. Known as the Professor for his ring intelligence, Nelson's journey is one of relentless determination, skill, and an unwavering desire to represent his country on the international stage. Over the course of his two-decade-long career, Nelson became one of the most dominant fighters of his time, earning the reputation as one of Africa's greatest boxers. Azumah Nelson was born on July 19, 1958 in Accra, Ghana. Growing up in a modest neighborhood, Nelson was introduced to boxing at a young age. His early years were marked by a love for sports, and like many children in Ghana, football was his passion. However, it was boxing that would soon capture his heart and become the avenue through which he would achieve greatness. Nelson's natural talent for the sport was evident from the start. He began his amateur boxing career in the early 1970s, quickly establishing himself as a formidable force in Ghana. By the time he was 19, Nelson had become a national amateur champion, his fierce punches and tactical approach drawing attention across the country. In 1978, he represented Ghana at the Commonwealth Games in Edmonton, Canada, where he won a gold medal in the featherweight division. His performance solidified his status as a rising star in African boxing and laid the foundation for his professional career. Nelson turned professional in 1979 under the guidance of his longtime trainer and mentor, Willie Lockett. His debut fight, a knockout victory, was a sign of things to come. Nelson's professional journey, however, was not without its challenges. Ghana was not a global boxing hub, and opportunities for international exposure were limited. Despite the lack of high-profile fights, Nelson continued to win and hone his craft, eventually becoming the African featherweight champion in 1980. As Nelson's reputation grew, so did his ambitions. He wanted to compete at the highest level to face the best fighters in the world. In 1982, he got his first major break when he was offered the chance to fight the undefeated Mexican world champion Salvador Sanchez for the WBC featherweight title. On July 21, 1982, Azumah Nelson stepped into the ring at Madison Square Garden in New York City to face Salvador Sanchez, considered one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. Nelson was a relatively unknown fighter at the time, and many viewed the bout as a mismatch. But what unfolded that night would change the course of his career. Nelson, despite being the underdog, gave Sanchez one of his toughest fights of his career. His aggressive style, combined with his ability to adapt to Sanchez's tactics, kept the champion on his toes. For 15 rounds, Nelson traded punches with the Mexican champion, refusing to back down. Although Sanchez eventually won the fight by TKO in the 15th round, Nelson's performance shocked the boxing world. He had proven that he could stand toe-to-toe with the best, and his stock rose dramatically. Tragically, Salvador Sanchez died in a car accident shortly after the fight, leaving the featherweight division without a dominant champion. This tragic event, however, paved the way for Nelson's future ascent. 2 years after his bout with Sanchez, Nelson would get another shot at the world title. In 1984, he faced Wilfredo Gomez, a Puerto Rican legend and former champion. This time, Nelson was ready. Fighting in Gomez's home country, Nelson delivered a stunning performance, defeating the former champion by TKO in the 11th round. With his victory, Azumah Nelson became the WBC featherweight champion, the first Ghanaian boxer to win a world title. Nelson's reign as featherweight champion marked the beginning of one of the most successful periods in African boxing history. His title defenses were a masterclass in ring strategy, and his combination of power, speed, and tactical intelligence earned him the nickname the Professor. He held the featherweight title from 1984 to 1987, successfully defending it on multiple occasions and solidifying his reputation as one of the best fighters in the division. In 1988, Nelson made the decision to move up to the super featherweight division, seeking new challenges and opportunities. His first major test came when he faced Mario Martinez for the vacant WBC super featherweight title. Once again, Nelson's skill and determination were on full display as he won the bout and became a two-time division world champion. Nelson's time in the super featherweight division would be defined by a series of legendary fights and rivalries. One of the most notable was his trilogy against Jeff Fenech, an Australian boxer and former champion. Their first fight in 1991 ended in a controversial draw, with many feeling that Fenech had done enough to win. In the rematch later that year, Nelson left no doubt, delivering a decisive knockout victory in the 8th round. He would go on to defeat Fenech once more in their third meeting in 1992, cementing his status as one of the best super featherweights in history. By the time Nelson retired in 1998, he had etched his name into the annals of boxing history. His career record stood at 39 wins, 6 losses, and 2 draws. An impressive feat for any boxer, especially one who had fought at the highest level for over 2 decades. Nelson's success in the ring went far beyond titles and accolades. He became a symbol of national pride for Ghana, inspiring a generation of young African athletes to pursue their dreams. His triumphs were not just personal victories, they were victories for his country and the African continent as a whole. In 2004, Nelson was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, becoming the first Ghanaian boxer to receive the honor. His induction was a testament to his impact on the sport, both as a competitor and as a trailblazer for African athletes in the global arena. After his retirement, Nelson remained active in boxing as a trainer and a promoter, working to develop young talent in Ghana and across Africa. He also became involved in philanthropy, using his fame and influence to support charitable causes in his home country. His contributions to the sport, to his community, further solidified his legacy as a champion both inside and outside the ring. Azumah Nelson's journey from the streets of Accra to the pinnacle of world boxing is a story of resilience, skill, and unyielding determination. He not only conquered the boxing world, but also paved the way for future African athletes to follow in his footsteps. Today, he is remembered not just as a champion, but as a symbol of what is possible when talent is combined with hard work and an unshakable belief in oneself.